if I knew Gove or anyone at The Spectator would block this from release, I would never have allowed The Spectator to do it in the first place. I am exploring all possible avenues, and if legal action is required to procure this footage and to uphold the end of the agreement on The Spectator side that we agreed prior to filming it, I am willing to pursue it.
Breaking right now, an astonishing cover-up at The Spectator, as its left-wing new editor, Michael Gove, yes, that Michael Gove, Mr. Lockdown Michael Gove, refuses to release the footage of a debate between Connor Tomlinson, host of Tomlinson Talks on YouTube, who will be here very shortly to reveal what's really going on with this, and Catherine Burblesing, the head of the Michaela School. And this debate was moderated by Michael Gove himself after he lobbied for it to happen. So let me take you through the story and reveal how we got here in the first place. Connor revealed on X, I filmed a debate today about immigration, integration, and British identity with Catherine Burblesing and Michael Gove. It will be out by Friday. As promised by Gove, it will not be edited. Nothing I said will be censored. I think you're all really going to enjoy it. Now, when I saw that post, and I'd been at CPAC in Australia with Connor before this debate, and I thought, God, Gove's going to be monstered here, and he doesn't know what he's getting into. And sure enough, when I saw that post, I thought, Connor clearly has suspicions that Gove doesn't want this to go public. And sure enough, that's exactly what then transpired. Connor later posted important update. I filmed an immigration debate with Michael Gove and Catherine Burblesing last month. Gove has banned the footage from being released. I've been told by Spectator staff it's because of decisions made by the senior editors. I thought it was a great discussion. I said my views, Catherine said hers, Gove said his. Both Catherine and I want this released. Why not let the audience decide? And then he revealed a preview of the contents of the debate. Gove began the debate by describing me as provocative and asked if I was unnerved by the Michaela School's success. I asked Gove why his government let millions of immigrants in when we voted against it. I asked Gove why he has a double standard for England, multicultural liberal, and Israel nationalist. We argued whether any faith other than Christian or ethnicity beside British should be allowed in government or the civil service. Gove said I occupy a very narrow space on the fringe of politics. I said I am as much a product of his 14 years in government as Catherine's school. Catherine and I debated what multiculturalism means and whether integration will ever succeed. She agreed with me that Gove's version of British values is useless. Catherine said her school is as Christian as you can get without actually being Christian. I disagreed and said the families and religion of the students will have more influence over their lives than her well-intentioned efforts. I agreed to visit the Michaela School. Michael offered to come with us and film it for The Spectator. Gove ended the recording, can you believe this, by saying, "We at The Spectator believe in free speech." Apparently not. The debate was scheduled because I wrote a piece in The Critic after the Now in England conference arguing against Robert Toombs' comments that the Michaela School allows Muslim girls to learn to be English. Dan Wootton Outspoken is available as a podcast too. So to listen or watch us on the go, wherever you are, then please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as a personal favour to me, please rate and review, as it really helps our independent show. Now, what's very fascinating is when you look through how the debate was actually set up, is that it was Gove who really was pressing for this. And after the debate was filmed, Gove actually emailed both Connor and Catherine, making it clear that he was planning a cover-up. He wrote, "Dear Connor and Catherine, thank you both for coming into the studio for our conversation. I appreciate both of you taking the time. As I'm sure you appreciate, it's my responsibility as editor to decide on and take responsibility for material that appears in The Spectator. I'm reviewing the broadcast at the moment, and I hope you can bear with me before I can update you further with every good wish." So Connor knew what was happening. He knew what was coming. And he very quickly replied back to Michael Gove, saying, "Michael, I appreciate the update, as I have lots of friends looking forward to watching this when it comes out. It was a robust discussion. I'm sure Spectator viewers will tear me to shreds in the comments. Catherine and I were saying we both enjoyed it on the walk back to Westminster Station. I will make good on accepting the offer to visit the school when we can arrange it. Megan also said I could upload the footage to my own YouTube channel a week after The Spectator has released it, given I originally set up the conversation between myself and Catherine just for my YouTube before you requested to moderate it. I'm off on my delayed honeymoon as of Sunday, so if I could get a link to a Google Drive or Dropbox just to schedule the upload before I go, that would be much appreciated. If there are any editorial reservations about posting the footage, I would ask that it be considered that I did set this conversation up prior to allowing The Spectator to host it, that I cut short a working trip to Australia and flew back for 24 hours the day prior so we could film it, and that I didn't ask to be paid for expenses to be covered. It's all because I thought it would be worthwhile, and it was. I think it is an important conversation. I'm very glad we had it, no matter the reception to what I said online. It was great fun, intellectually robust, and made me think on the spot. It covered the topics at the political fault line right now, given the contents of Labour Party conference. You signed off the recording with your commitment to free speech and discourse. I would hope we can all honour that in good faith, both during and after the debate. If it doesn't meet Spectator expectations for whatever reason, I would ask to at least have our agreement on it, and I be given the footage to upload to YouTube. But I would hope that you see the value in it as much as Catherine and I did. I think the audience will respect your willingness to have me on and grill me about our disagreements after our exchange on X. Regards, Connor Tomlinson. But of course now, there is a major cover-up going on. The footage has not been released. For all we know, it may have been destroyed. And Connor Tomlinson is quite rightly, I think, completely furious about this, saying the integrity of the debate matters more than whatever the public perception is. I'll be criticised for what I said. I don't care. Release the footage. Let the people decide. And Connor Tomlinson joins me now. So, Connor, this is quite clearly a cover-up by Michael Gove. Quite clearly you destroyed him in that debate, because how on earth can he justify the Boris wave and the mass immigration that took place over his time in government? You know, when he was in the cabinet, when he could have made a real difference. But what are you going to do about this? Because The Spectator clearly owned this footage and they don't want to release it. I mean, I'm desperate to see it. This stinks of a cover-up, but is there anything you can do to secure this footage? But first, let me hit you with a stat that's honestly terrifying. Data breaches worldwide jumped 211% from 2023 to 2024, driven by 5 massive mega breaches. That's millions of people's private info spilled in one go. It could easily include you, phone number, home address, even health data. And here's the kicker. Once your data's out, it doesn't just disappear. Data brokers and people's search sites keep buying it and selling it, so anyone from scammers to stalkers to nosy employers can dig up your life in just a few clicks. That's why I use Incogni. In a space crowded with shady players, Incogni stands out as the proven solution, independently verified by Deloitte, to actually remove personal data from hundreds of broker sites and private databases, send regular follow-ups, and track real confirmation responses. Think of it like hitting delete on your online footprint. So create your account and give Incogni the bare minimum to find your exposed profiles. Authorize them just once to act on your behalf, then start removing your info and keep at it so it doesn't pop back up. And here's the power move. Custom removals on the unlimited plan. If you see a page anywhere publishing your details like court record portals, company databases, people search results, drop the exact link into your Incogni dashboard and their privacy team takes it down for you beyond the automated list. Unlimited links handled by specialists. It's hassle-free, it's effective, and it buys you real peace of mind. They can't harm you if they can't find you. I use this every month, and it is so hassle-free, but really important to my life. So don't wait for the next breach. Go to incogni.com/outspoken right now and get 60% off an annual plan. That's incogni.com/outspoken. Protect yourself, your family, and your future. Just click on the link in the description box below. Now, back to the show.
So there's a fair bit to go through there, Dan. First of all, I must make it clear, I don't know why Gove hasn't released this. The speculation can be left to the public based on the excerpts that I was able to recall and quote in my initial post on X there. And judging by the response to that post, which garnered well over 500,000 views and lots of people, including yourself, Carl Benjamin, Liz Truss, etc., calling for the footage to be released, there's clearly a public interest in it being out there. So I would say that I might wonder whether or not Gove was unhappy with his performance or said something that he thought he shouldn't have, especially when Catherine and I, turns out, agreed on a lot more than she was expecting. We actually came into the debate, Catherine, I hope she doesn't take offence at me saying this, she was a bit highly strung, and she wondered whether or not at the outset that I was calling for her deportation just because she's not ethnically English. And I said, no, I don't take that position. I'm not that unfair, I would say. I think we have a system of national tribalism where we let our friends stay and we make our enemies leave. And she was actually convinced by that particular line of argument, whereas Michael Gove was not. Hence why she said that Michael Gove's version of British values is basically bollocks. So I do wonder whether or not Gove's debate performance or his fear that his inability to answer my questions sufficiently on things like Raiku or integration, or why a number of conservative politicians that he advocated were championing importing many people that they share an ethnic background with, like Priti Patel and Rishi Sunak. I wonder if, in fact, he felt that he didn't answer those questions sufficiently and he would have been shellacked by the Spectator viewers in the comments, because his appointment as editor has been met with mixed receptions, let's put it that way, especially considering he endorsed Kamala Harris as the first thing he did as Spectator editor. Regarding whether or not the Spectator owned the footage, technically, the only agreement we had in writing, because I didn't sign a single contract, was that I would be provided the footage as a condition for me of participating. Allow me to make it very, very clear. If I knew that the footage would not be released by the Spectator and would not be provided to me as was written and as was agreed before participating in the debate, I would not have done it. I would have simply reverted to my original plan that I organised privately with Catherine Burble-Singh on the 6th and 7th of July to just book out the studio I used to use for my show and sit down with her, with multiple cameras, and just discuss. It was Michael Gove who actually got wind of this, presumably because Catherine mentioned it to him in an offhand comment, and asked to act as umpire, thereby making himself fair game for criticism by participating in the debate. If I knew Gove or anyone at The Spectator would block this from release, I would never have allowed The Spectator to do it in the first place. And bear in mind, I could have, considering I have a decent audience on YouTube and I am monetized, pocketed all the proceeds from any of the views here, but I also agreed to allow them to have a 7-day exclusivity window to make all of the money off of presumably the monetized video that they would have had up first, and didn't ask to be paid or compensated because, gauging by the public interest, I thought it would be important to have this conversation. So, is there anything I can do about this? Allow me to say that I am exploring all possible avenues, and if legal action is required to procure this footage and to uphold the end of the agreement on the Spectator side that we agreed prior to filming it, I am willing to pursue it.
Good.
Currently exploring the prospects.
Good. Because what makes me sick, Connor, and I know you said, look, it's had huge engagement on X, and yes, those of us in the alternative media space have spoken out about this, but what makes me sick, Connor, and this is what people need to realise, is that the tentacles of Gove and his gatekeepers like Paul Marshall, they run through so many organisations like Unheard and GB News and connections at the Daily Telegraph. And so what that means is there are so many people who should be horrified by this and who should be speaking out against this, but they're not, because there is such a weakness. There is such a fundamental weakness on the right of British politics and the right of the British media. And it does make me sick. It honestly does. Like, this is just, to me, such a scandal and something that should be being covered on GB News and Talk TV and written about in the Daily Telegraph and the Daily Mail. But of course it's not, because so many of those people are compromised, and they're compromised because of where they get their money from. And it does make me sick. And the thing is, Gove is not an appropriate editor for The Spectator. He was never an appropriate editor for The Spectator. This is a guy who's on the left, who has been wrong on so many fronts. And as you say, the first decision that he made as editor of The Spectator was to endorse Kamala Harris. I mean, how utterly appalling. And I just say to everyone, think about this, speak out against this, don't be so gutless, But unfortunately, when it comes to people's pocketbooks and when it comes to the fact that they need those commissions from the Spectator because it's still viewed as this highly influential magazine, they say nothing. I mean, come on, like Douglas Murray, Rod Little, they will be horrified by this type of censorship.
Well, I do know some people who write for the Spectator who I spoke to about this, and they were annoyed about this, but I think for reasons of wanting to continue to be published by the Spectator, they didn't say anything about it. And look, I understand it. I actually have no personal beef with people that work at the Spectator. As far as I know, I can only lay the blame on Gove here, because he has final editorial say, according to his own email. Everyone I corresponded with during the process of trying to get answers from Gove, trying to squeeze blood from a stone, metaphorically speaking, because he didn't even respond to Catherine Burblesing's email that she sent to him, despite them being friends. Everyone I corresponded with in this stead was very courteous, so I don't wish to disparage the Spectator as an outlet. It's just being
no, and there's amazing
misled.
people there. That's the thing. Of course there are, but they have an editor who clearly does not believe in free speech.
Can I give one prominent example that I haven't publicised yet, please, Dan?
Please.
I have friends that work at the Free Speech Union, and so, as a member of the Free Speech Union, because we all pretty much are at this point, because we all have free speech insurance. I mean, after all, the reason this entire debate came about is because Pete North, the man who was arrested in the dead of night for an anti-Hamas meme, actually tweeted my article about the Now in England conference, and he got into a back and forth in Burblesing, prompting me to speak to Catherine. I asked the Free Speech Union if they would intervene in this, because clearly it's a matter of free speech. Gove said he's committed to free speech. It's one of the oldest and premier outlets on the right, for which, obviously, Toby Young, the head of the Free Speech Union, writes. And I was told this one isn't for us.
Terrible. But can I just say, I am not at all surprised. And it's not something I've spoken about before, mainly because I think, on the whole, the Free Speech Union is such a force for good.
Yes.
But unfortunately, when it comes to the media, and I know this through my own prism, when myself and Father Calvin Robinson and Lawrence Fox went through what we did at GB News, which I believe was an issue of free speech, certainly the Free Speech Union, shall we say, knows what side its bread is buttered on. And so that's all I'm going to say. I think the Free Speech Union does a very, very good job, but that's terrible that they're not taking up the case here, because this is so clearly a matter of free speech. So, Michael Gove, release the footage. Just release the footage. What are you afraid of? What the hell are you afraid of? Let us make our own decision. Okay? Seriously. You're a government minister. For God's sake. Are you that scared of being destroyed by Connor Tomlinson? Well, I think the answer to that is yes, unless we see the tapes. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.